begin with breaking news this half hour. Gatineau police have made an arrest in connection with the murder of 64-year-old Diane LaHaye. She died after a house fire at a home on Rue de Gaspé on July 27th. Police have said the fire was a case of arson. More information on the arrest will be released later today. No one was injured in an overnight shooting in the West End. 2 shots were fired into the air just after midnight on Du Maurier Avenue. The Guns and Gangs unit is now investigating. A father and his 2 children were able to escape an overnight fire that destroyed their Luskville home. Neighbors called 911 around 2 this morning, reporting the fire on Raven Street. It took firefighters 2 hours to get control of the fire, which caused $290,000 in damage. The man was taken to Hull Hospital for treatment of smoke inhalation. Well, the City of Ottawa is going all in for a casino at the RIDEAU Carleton Raceway. Council voted 16-7 to designate the raceway as the only gambling location in the capital. Under the plan, 21 gaming tables and 1,200 slot machines could operate at the raceway. The decision means Sens owner Eugene Melnick can't submit an application to the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corporation for a casino at the Canadian Tire Centre. Joining us now live in studio to chat more about the casino story is Mayor Jim Watson. Mayor Watson, thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks, Annette.
Critics of this decision say it shows council is anti-business. What do you say to that?
I disagree. We have a very strong working relationship with the business community through things like Invest Ottawa, through the work that we've done in economic development. But at the end of the day, this has been a divisive issue. It was divisive in the community because there's lots of people that don't like gambling, don't want a casino, want a casino. Those who want it, they argue whether it should be downtown, RIDEAU Carleton, Scotiabank Place, somewhere in the East End. And we had to grapple with that because this was a situation thrown to us by the province through the OLG. And if you recall, back in March 2011, our very first position was, let's just add 21 table games, which accommodates about 100 people, extra people at RIDEAU Carleton, and call it a day. So what we've come is full circle after many off-ramps to that position where we think it has the greatest amount of public support, and it's ready to open basically tomorrow.
But here we are with, I mean, there's been different debates as to your position. You supported downtown at one point, then you said, no, we'll go with RCR, and council's position. But when it comes to local businessmen like Eugene Melnick, they never had the opportunity to actually put their plan and bid on the table.
But we were given the right through the process to either choose a location where we wanted it to be considered or exclude parts of the city we didn't want. I'll give you 2 examples. Kingston, for instance, when they voted on it, said they don't want a casino in the historic downtown. In Hamilton, they said they only want the casino at the racetrack. We've done exactly the same thing, and we did it before the RFP process. We don't know if Mr. Melnick or who was on the short list who would be able to bid. He may not have been on the short list, which becomes a moot point, or if he was, he should know before he starts his formal bid that the only site that's acceptable to the city would be the existing site at RIDEAU Carleton.
Are you worried about lawsuits at all?
No, listen, every day someone threatens or proposes a lawsuit, against the city, but we can't be governed by that fear of threat. We're on very solid legal ground. We followed the process, and at the end of the day, what we tried to come up with was to protect the RIDEAU Carleton community. The ward councillor for that area, Doug Thompson, wanted it. It's already in existence. It's been there for 50 years. The slots have been there for 13 years, and we think it's probably got the most general support from the community. But there's no unanimity on this debate, that's for sure.
You've been told by your legal advisors that a lawsuit against the city would not be successful in this case?
That's right. There's, at the end of the day, anyone can sue us, and, a lawyer's opinion, is not the law of the land, but I feel very confident that we follow the process. And we have decided that we don't want a casino in the downtown. We don't want it in this part of the neighborhood or that part of the neighborhood. And what we've done is we've come up with a plan that we think is acceptable to a larger percentage of the population.
If you could go back a year, start this process all over again, clean slate, what would you do differently?
Well, I think we would have been much more firm in our direction with OLG that we wanted the RIDEAU Carleton to have a role. I talked about a satellite operation and then another casino, and we tried to go for 2 zones, and the province said no to that. So I'm not disputing the right the province has, and we accept their decision. But what I said was, we should have done, and Doug Thompson and I moved a motion, we should have made it firmer and really more prescriptive that said, if you're going to have a casino, you've got to make sure RCR stays open in some capacity to support that industry and that part of rural economy.
Okay, Mayor Jim Watson, thanks so much for joining us
My pleasure.
on this
Thank you,
issue
Annette.
today. A retired judge appointed by Toronto's police chief to look into use of force policies is stepping away from the review. Dennis O'Connor says conflict of interest concerns have been raised by victims' families. O'Connor works for a law firm that also acts for the insurers of the Toronto Police Service in civil suits. Toronto police launched the probe following the fatal police shooting of Sammy Atim on a streetcar. And finally, Ontario's education minister is suggesting extra homework for teachers to help students with their math. Liz Sandals says teachers may need more professional development after provincial test results showed students are struggling with their math skills. Almost 1 in 5 grade 6 students do not meet the provincial math standard. Sandals says many elementary teachers come from an arts background and aren't comfortable teaching math as they are teaching reading or writing.